Welcome friends. In this course we are discussing about different steps to be taken for innovation and developing entrepreneurship on the basis of those innovations. We discussed from various literature that innovation can be a structured activity, and in organizations it is very much necessary that we do innovation in a structured fashion. If we believe in jugaad or ad hoc innovations, we may not be able to use innovation for competitive advantage. Then it will be simply an accidental phenomena in the organization. So, for innovation to succeed or innovation to flourish in the organization, participation for innovation is very necessary. In our previous sessions, we have discussed that innovation is a team activity, and when we say that innovation is a team activity, you can recall one of the session where we discussed one of the school of innovation, that is lateral thinking school. And in lateral thinking school, we discussed a 6 hat technique, and in that 6 hat technique we have 6 persons, and these 6 persons are wearing different colors of hats, and according to color of hat they perform different type of role in a innovation program. Similarly, in any innovation activity, because we believe that innovation starts with curiosity, you come to know so many phenomena around you, and when you are curious about them, you start asking questions, and many a times you do not get answer of those questions on your own. Therefore, participation of other members of your organization is very much necessary in the process of innovation. So, today's session we are going to discuss about how to develop this participation for the innovation program, what are the elements of participation, and what is the role of each of those elements in the process of innovation management. So, as we discussed that innovation is a team activity, you need to have a good team, and the meaning of good team is that you need to have a team where the members are from different or diverse backgrounds. If a team is consisting of homogeneous type of members, similar kind of members, that is not a good team for innovation. So, you need to have team consisting of members from diverse backgrounds, so that it can support different kind of activities from different team members. Somebody can give you the emotional view, somebody can give you analytical view, somebody can take you to the bigger heights, somebody can always question those different type of creative ideas. So, we feel that members in the team should come from different background. Like for an example, if I take an example of MBA class. In an MBA class, we typically look students from engineering background, students from science background, students from commerce background, students from humanities and social science background, so that you have people in your team from so many diverse backgrounds, and therefore, the decision will be a very unique decision, because they all will have different perspective of the solution for a particular problem. And when you have a discussion among themselves with diverse perspectives, a good suggestion, a more intelligent suggestion, a more intelligent solution will be the outcome. So, that is the first point about the participation for the innovation program. Now, let us see what are the important elements of participation or to develop the participation in innovation activities. The first important element is the role model. You need to have a role model in your organization. Sometimes it is not possible to have a role model within your organization. So, it may be somebody from outside the organization, inside, outside. But it is very, very important that you should have a role model. And now, going further into the discussion of role model, I will see that can I am the role model for myself? Can I am the role model for myself? Or my father is the role model for myself? I take you to a very interesting dialogue of a recently released Bollywood movie, Sultan. And in Sultan movie, if you remember, the dialogue is like that, आपको कोई और नहीं हरा सकता जब तक आप खुद अपने आप से ना हार जाए. Now, the meaning is that you yourself is the role model for your activities. But unfortunately, many of us, almost all of us, look role models to the outside world. When I ask this question in my classroom that who is your role model, I hardly get any response that my father or my mother, my elder brother or my elder sister is my role model. I feel this is very unfortunate situation. But if I take it to the organizational context, it is important that there has to be role models, and these role models are actually those who inspire others. These role models have that type of charisma in their personality that you should feel that if he or she can do it, why can't I? If Sachin Tendulkar can make 100 centuries, why can't I? If I am also a cricket player, so if somebody has achieved it, why can't I? If somebody has cracked IIT JEE, why can't I crack IIT JEE? If somebody has scored very high percentile, why can't I? So, all these things, if you have that type of inspiring personality, then he or she is the role model. So, whatever a role model does, we also want to do same thing. And there are studies that people actually try to imitate each and everything, the way your role model thinks, the way your role model behaves, the way your role model eats, the way your role model wears the clothes. We always try to imitate our role models. So, as role models are first important thing to develop the participative innovation, my take on this is that we need to develop role models within the organization, inside the organization. If you have role models inside the organization, then it is more inspiring than to have a role model outside the organization. Sometime I can say that if I am in innovation business, I may say that Steve Jobs is my role model, Elon Musk is my role model, but I have never met them. So, they inspire me is a bit difficult thing. But if I have someone within my organization to whom I see day in and day out, it is much easier for me to get inspiration from those role models. So, therefore, I say that it is very much necessary for an organization to have role models within their boundaries. So, that is the first important thing for developing the participation. The second important thing is community of practice. Community of practice is a platform where we hang out. Nowadays, this hangout is possible in the virtual form also. You need not to have a physical place to hang out. Earlier, we used to have clubs. In one of the interview, it was mentioned by Jobs that the development of iPhone and iPod was impossible without computer clubs. So, even the most popular innovators of this world, they say that the role of communities, clubs is very important in developing the participation or in ultimately leading to innovation management. So, in this community of practice, people meet with other people, share the ideas, discuss the ideas, brainstorm over the ideas. Some of the senior people, they share their experiences. Some of the young generation, some of the young innovators, they share their ideas, and the seniors, they try to mentor the young people. That type of these community of practices may be formal, may be informal also. One of the community of practice which I think all the organizations must develop, and most of us, those following the Japanese principles of management, they have, that is the quality circle. This quality circle is also a type of community of practice, where workers, managers, supervisors, they all sit together and they brainstorm about various problems and their solutions in the organization. So, I feel that community of practices are very important. We have like Indian Science Congress, one of the oldest body of nurturing science in India, and their job is also to provide a platform to all the scientists of this country, where they can discuss, they can get guidance from seniors about their ideas. And similar things are possible within the organization also, where you can have different types of communities. Like if I give you the example of IIT type of setup, we have so many different types of student communities. Like we have community for rural development, then we have community for robotics, students interested in robotics, then we have communities for social service, we have communities for model making, we have communities for software development, and many more communities are there. Now, if I have some idea for rural development, so as a first year student, I will join this community, and then already senior students, faculty mentors are available in this community. So, we organize various informal activities so that you can encourage new ideas, and then we also organize lot of formal activities so that you go ahead, you take leap in a structured manner. So, all these communities are there, and these communities should be developed, these communities should be facilitated by the organization, so that you can get more and more ideas and more mentorship for those ideas. The next is Innovation catalyst. Now, what is the meaning of catalyst? The meaning of catalyst, we all know, the one who actually speed up the things, speeding up. Now, speeding up is possible when we are doing something, but the rate of doing that task is not up to the mark. So, you need to increase your velocity, you need to speed up the output, and for that purpose innovation catalysts are required. These innovation catalysts encourage the person who is giving the idea, and they also offer very constructive inputs. The meaning is that I want to pursue a particular idea. Let us say I want to start a restaurant, and in one of the community of practice in my institute, I discussed this idea that I want to start one restaurant which will take care of special Mughlai foods. But there are people who are already in the food business, who are already having some experience about restaurant. They came to know about my plans of opening a special restaurant for Mughlai foods. They may tell me, no, 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 do not go for Mughlai food. The trend in India is about the Thai food. So, if you want to open a restaurant, do not go for Mughlai food, you go for Thai food, because more and more people are now loving Thai foods. So, therefore, this is the meaning of constructive input. They will help me, these innovation catalysts will help me to shape my path. I already have some idea, but because of my prediction disability, because of my limited exposure, limited knowledge, I am not able to see what is ahead of me, what is ahead on this path. And these mentors, these catalysts, they will help me to go on a particular path where they see that future is really bright. And this example that I want to have a special restaurant for a special type of food, but because I think that in India, with my common sense, with the available data, I saw that Mughlai food is most preferred food. So, I thought that I should also start a Mughlai food restaurant, but the trend which I am unable to see, that is of Thai food, and this innovation catalyst will tell me that what is the trend and where should you go. So, that is very important role of innovation catalyst. So, we need to have, we discussed three important things so far: role model, community of practice and innovation catalyst. So, these are the three important elements of my participative innovation behavior. The fourth is rewards and recognition. I want to have some kind of reward encouragement system in my organization. If that encouragement system is there in the organization, it will help the organization, it will help the individual to make a meaningful first three elements of participative innovation. The meaning is, in rewards and recognition, we may create a system of monetary or non-monetary rewards, where we get some kind of mechanism through which idea givers, those who are proposing the ideas, get appreciation. And this appreciation may have different types of form, like you may give some kind of cash prize for each person who gives the idea, like the story of Maruti Udyog Limited. When Maruti Udyog Limited started the idea management system in its organization, So, at that time they used to give 100 rupees for each idea giver. So, that is the cash prize for each idea giver. Later on they started giving recognition to their employees for good ideas, in which they used to invite the family of the idea givers, those who are giving very good ideas, or the selected idea givers, they were invited with their families to have lunch with CMD of the company, and this used to be considered as one of the best recognition for an employee, that the family of that employee is going to have lunch with CMD of the company, the highest person of the organization. So, you can have cash prize or you can have non monetary recognition. Sometime you must have observed on airports or on different restaurants, malls, where they put poster that employee of the month, and they write names and give their photographs. I think that is also a wonderful way to give recognition to your employees, that their criteria may be different, that depending upon customer feedback, depending upon the surveys, depending upon the targets achieved by an employee. But similar thing you can adopt in the field of innovation management. Who gives maximum idea in a particular month? The name of that employee along with photo you can display on the main entry of the organization, and this is going to be hugely affecting morale of that employee, and it will also motivate. This is the way you create role models within your organization. This month one employee who gives 10 new ideas is on the notice board. Next month somebody who gives 12 new ideas is on the notice board. So, you are creating internal heroes in your organization. So, that is very, very important, that you create heroes, and obviously these heroes will be the role model for the newcomers in your organization. They will feel that if somebody is already giving 10 new ideas, somebody is already giving 20 new ideas, why can't I give 15 new ideas in a month? So, this way your process of getting more and more ideas will start in the organization. So, that is what we want in the participative innovation. So, you have these 4 elements: role model, community of practice, innovation catalyst, and rewards and recognition, and this will create, this will build the participation in the organization. This is one of the key element in the innovation program, that you are able to build a good participation in your organization. If you are able to do a solid participation, you have good role models in the organization, you have place where people can discuss, people can have chat with seniors over a cup of coffee, over a cup of tea, you have the people who can mentor, who can guide, who can encourage the idea givers and tell them which side you should go, which path you should take, so that you most likely hit the right target. And then you also need to have a system of rewards and recognition, which will help you to get more and more people motivated in the idea management or in developing new ideas. Now, let us discuss, after understanding these 4 elements, that how this participative innovation is going to help the organization in a new idea, or with the help of some example. Let us discuss that in this journey who can be the role model, who can be the innovation catalyst, who can be the community of practice, and what is the reward and recognition. Now, let us see if we have one example where you are a new professor or a new researcher joining your PhD program, and now you want to see that how the case is a research scholar, where lot of innovation is required, and now in research the role models can be one who publishes papers in top ranking journals. That person can be the role model. Now, it is very good if you have this person in your own department, you are very lucky. But if you find that in your department you do not have that type of person who is publishing continuously in very high ranking journals, his citation is more than 1000, his H index is more than 100. So, maybe you can have that type of role model within your department or may not have that person within your department. Then the community of practice is some of the scientific associations, some type of bodies where you go for conferences. So, we say that various reputed conferences and societies, these are community of practice for this research scholar. Ideally, your supervisor, your PhD guide or supervisor we call, he or she should be the innovation catalyst, and rewards and recognition is your publication. And when you have publication supported by monetary incentives, that becomes a perfect example of rewards and recognition. So, if we feel that a research scholar is there and how this whole process of participative innovation will help that research scholar. So, these are the role model who publishes papers in a very reputed journals, top journals in Web of Science indexing. The community of practices will be the reputed conferences, reputed societies in your subject area. Your guide supervisor should be ideally the innovation catalyst, and rewards and recognition when you publish papers in very high ranking journals, your organization should offer you, give you some kind of promotion, some kind of monetary incentives, some kind of these benefits are the part of rewards and recognition. So, if these things are there, I think a research scholar will certainly be able to generate better and better papers which are more meaningful, which are having high impact, which is very much necessary for an innovation program. So, we saw that participative innovation is one very important key element in overall innovation activity, and organizations must try for having each of these elements in their organization, so that you can create a kind of enabling environment, enabling system in the organization for innovation to flourish in your organization. Thank you very much.